بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبيه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Salat al-Isha, our dear Imam recited from Surah al-Nazi'at. There are two verses there about Jannah and Hellfire we wanted to share and reflect over. Allah mentions people who have two characteristics, they make it to Jannah. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. The other side is Hellfire. What are the characteristics? There's two characteristics for Hellfire. وَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. So these are a summary of what takes you to paradise and what takes you to Hellfire. So, and if you look at the characteristics, they're very eloquent and very deep. And they speak to our predicament today, the ridiculous predicament we find ourselves in today. So, وَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى, let's look at the Hellfire. The first characteristic, those who طَغَى. طَغَى means to transgress the limits. طَغَى doesn't mean to sin. When you sin, that's just ithm or khati'ah, and you just make tawbah. But what takes you to Hellfire is a higher level of sin, which is tagha. Tagha has within it the meaning of audacity and confidence and boldness. Tagha means you violate Allah's limit and you don't care about it, or you do it with such intensity, or you take something that belongs to Allah and make it for yourself. That's tagha. The noun form of tagha is taghut. Taghut is Islamic term for evil empires. For empires that, like Fir'aun's people and his group, who usurp the rights of Allah, and they proclaim that they have power over human beings, and they give the attribute of life and death. They decide who lives and they decide who dies. And we find those types of people today, nations today. Any nation that proclaims that it has the power to decide who lives and who dies, who can do this, who can do that. Any nation that proclaims that they are the most powerful nation in the world, and what they say goes, that is a taghut in Quranic terminology. Taghut is the one that has transgressed the limits of Allah and taken positions that belong to Allah. So, وَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى. And the second characteristic, وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. And they chose the life of this dunya, meaning they're after their worldly interests. These are the evil empires of the world. They're all about their worldly interests, their resources, was going to protect their countries and their borders and their power, and they transgress the limits of Allah. They put themselves in positions that belong to Allah, and they are the tawaghi. And Allah says hellfire is their home. And on the other side, Allah gives you the opposite of that. The opposite of taghut and tagha. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. The one who fears the position of Allah. Now here, Allah doesn't say the one who fears Allah. مَنْ يَخَافَ Allah. Allah says, أَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. The position of Allah, because now we're talking about a higher level. The taghut, they take Allah's position. We have the right to legislate. We have the right to decide things. We have the right to determine what's going to happen in the world today. Who lives, who dies, who gets to do this, who gets to do that, who gets to have weapons, who doesn't get to have weapons. That's taghut. The opposite of that is the believers. Not only do they fear Allah, but they fear the position of Allah, maqam of Allah. Maqam of Allah, they know where Allah is in their life. Allah is Ahkamul Hakimeen, the one who is the wisest of judges. Allah is Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of all the worlds. Allah is Ilahul Alameen, the only one worthy of worship and veneration. So they know the position of Allah. They fear that position of Allah. That forces them not to think in materialistic terms. Because the second characteristic, what is it? وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. They stop themselves from pursuing their interests. Nations today, it's all about their interests. our borders, our people, our interests, and they will destroy the world over that. Even their fellow Muslim nations, all over their personal interests. The believer, Allah's model in the Quran is the believer. He respects the position of Allah, and he doesn't go for his worldly interest. وَنَهَا النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. We translate it as desires. Hawa really is your interest. They don't go after their ultimate guide to behavior. Their ultimate guide is not the pursuit of their personal interest or their national interest, that every nation state today does. They're not really nation states, we call them slave states. They're pathetic slave states. They don't deserve to exist because they are in the position where Allah is supposed to be. They are ta'wud. May Allah protect us. May Allah protect the blood of the Muslims around the world. May Allah ease our suffering. May Allah give us the strength and the courage to stand up and obey Allah and worship Him in the right way. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.